I've come to Runcorn in Cheshire, to the end of the Bridgewater Canal. At least that is the end now. There was formerly extension to this, 10 locks, which took the canal down to the sea, but they're long gone. So this is where the canal ends now. If we look through the fence here at the end of the canal, we can see the route that it would have taken, with the locks taking the boats down to rejoin the river and then onto the sea. At the Canal Basin there's what is clearly was once a public house, but it now has found a new use as the Wat Phra Singh UK Buddhist Temple and Meditation Centre. We're just looking back at the basin, the end of the canal. This was the first of the industrial canals built in the UK. It was built in 1761 and a few years after that for various bits. So we're talking about a canal here that's been here for 250 years. This is underneath a modern bridge and looking down the canal towards the direction we're going to be walking. Just a shot here of the old and the new. On the right is an old church tower, quite likely to be 400, 500, 600 years old. Beyond that you can see the support network of the Runcorn Bridge, and then to the left these wonderful cooling towers and a power station. They seem to be gradually demolishing cooling towers in this country. I just wish they would realise that they are things of beauty, and once they're not used they really should be preserved. Anyway, here's a picture of the old and the new, and if I pan slightly left you'll get a glimpse of the Mersey River. We're just half a mile in. I'm showing you the way we've walked. The sun is rather bright today, and looking forward it's not working very well with the camera. If you look off there, there's a spur going off there, and at one time was the route of the canal, a rather circuitous bit, but then they opened this piece and this was the shortcut, so the piece over here is just used for mooring boats now. Up here above the canal we have something clearly labelled 1893 Runcorn Cooperative Society, and this is Cooperative Terrace with a beehive between the word cooperative and terrace, a stone beehive. Mile and a quarter in, and now we've got a boatyard here where boats are being repaired, renovated. And they seem to be recovering a van here, a taxi in fact, that was almost in the water, whether it's a stolen vehicle, but they're just picking it up and putting it on the back of a carrier. So it continues up the slope from where it must have come down. There's some traffic on the canal here. This looks like a commercial barge, probably supplying the gas cylinders to other barges on the canal. We're just over a mile and a half in, and although the canal is very rural and picturesque, we are passing under a lot of busy roads, and there is the constant noise of traffic all the time. This is a heavy industrial area, but the canal is great. Apart from the noise, you're well away from it. 2 miles from where we started, and as you can see the canal path has changed sides. We followed a very old bridge over the canal, and now we're continuing down the canal on the right hand side. Very scenic. Traffic noise has died well away, although we can just hear it. and far fewer motorway bridges to go under. Just come up to this bridge, which is labelled Greensbridge. Interestingly, it appears that originally the arch was held in place by stones, and then later it's been reinforced by this brick arch underneath the stone arch. That's the bridge from the other side, and that leads across to some public parklands called Norton Priory, up through those trees there, and the remains of the old house that used to be there. We're just now looking the direction that we're walking. Very picturesque. Another example here of a bridge with the stone arch, and it appears that there's a brick arch underneath it, almost to reinforce it. Just across the river there, perched on the branch, is a large black coloured bird fishing, waiting. Just coming up to a pair of swans with 3 cygnets on the bank here. Just enjoying the sun. Just coming up to this bridge over the canal, the path changes sides here, and this bridge is built so that the horses pulling the barge didn't have to be unhitched. So the horse would run up this side, and then over there it would loop round and go back under the bridge, and it was on the other side without having to unhitch from the barge. You're just seeing a grey heron moving along the bank. He's still waiting, keeping a very watchful eye on me, and he's off, I think. And there he goes, elegantly across the water and a bit further down, where I would disturb him yet again. Well, while we're watching the heron on the left hand side, just taking off. Ooh. There's a barge coming up the canal. Come 4.5 miles now, and we're looking back towards the way we've come from Runcorn, and obviously we're up on a bridge that crosses the canal here. Just the other side of the bridge we have a number of barges moored up here, and the path has moved from the left side to the right side. At the end of these barges we've got a entrance to a marina. In here we've got an example of a selfish homeowner who's built his house right over what would have been the canal path, and so there is no more canal path. We'll have to head inland a short distance and see what happens. Well, we've been diverted a short distance inland, and according to the map we have to walk through this rather unappetising housing estate to get back onto the canal path. How on earth do councils allow this to happen? That canal path has been there for 250 years, so why is it they can block it off? We've come through the unprepossessing housing estate, found the canal again, and these unfortunate people have to live right next to this major road with a constant noise of road traffic. And a few yards further on, this is the canal we were following. It comes into this junction here, and then the Bridgewater Canal continues up there on its way to Manchester, Trafford Park. And if we go around here, there's a junction underneath this motorway bridge, and that's the start of the Trent and Mersey Canal, and this is a place called Preston Brook. We're going to be following now the Trent and Mersey Canal, so we're leaving the Bridgewater Canal and we're heading southward. So we've just gone underneath the motorway bridge. This is Preston Brook, and we have just completed 5 miles from our start in Runcorn. Well, we've not done 6 miles from Runcorn and maybe half a mile or so from Preston Brook, and we've come to the Preston Brook Tunnel, 1,272 yards. And I can hear the throbbing of a boat engine as one is in the tunnel somewhere. We've just passed one that has come through the tunnel and is mooring up, but there's clearly another one in the tunnel. Well, immediately behind the tunnel is this track, this little lane. It is used by cars. And looking at the map, it seems fairly straightforward. You follow this, there's a little step change halfway through, and it will bring you to the other end of the tunnel. Well, we followed that track up to the top, and we've got a fairly busy road here, and the pub at the top is called the Tunnel Top. And almost directly where we came out on that main road, just offset to the left a little bit, is the next track, which will take us down to the other entrance to the tunnel. I notice as we walk along this lane here, this round shaped object, and without peering over the top, I suspect that's a ventilation shaft for the tunnel beneath us. And here we are, 15 minutes later, we're back at the other end of the tunnel, and a very straightforward route. They're not always that easy, the walking route between tunnel entrances, but that was very straightforward. And just scan down this way. This is where we're going to be walking, and we've done just 6.5 miles out of Runcorn. And we've reached our first lock on our walk today. The Bridgewater Canal, being a very early canal, is a contour canal. Therefore it meanders through the countryside, maintaining its same level throughout. Here we have locks which can raise and lower the canal. Ominously, this is lock number 76 at the top of the canal. So we've got quite a few to get through during our forthcoming walks. Looking back at the way we've just walked, just around the corner up there is the first lock, and over here is a nature reserve. This is Long Acre Wood. There's a display board here telling you all about it. Looks to be quite charming. And then we're carrying on down the canal, but it is just so peaceful here. The traffic noise has gone away, and there's just bird song. A nice old milepost here. If you look down the bottom here, R&D stone 1819. I really can't believe this. This is August on a summer holiday, hot summer's day. If I took you to any beach in the country, it would be crowded, rammed with people. If you went abroad, there'd be queues for security, queues for vaccinations, queues for passports, queues for the aeroplane. And yet here I am, midday, with this beautiful bit of countryside, Cheshire countryside, and not another soul around. Since I started walking from Preston Brook, I've passed one other person on the path and a couple of people on a barge. It is absolutely idyllic. 8 3/4 miles from Runcorn, and it's just so peaceful. That's the way I've just walked. Up over the other side of the canal are fields which have just been cut, and the straw or hay is lying there to dry. This is the narrow path we're pursuing. And over here, just look, miles of glorious countryside, Cheshire countryside. Hi. 11 miles out of Runcorn, and we've come to the Saltersford Tunnel. And here it tells us that the length is 368 metres, or 1,207 feet. And we have to go up over the top. This is the path up through the woods, and they've even got a canal path mileage sign here. And here we are. This is the exit on the south side. Just do a pan round. Big pool here, basin here where they can pass. And then through the trees there are a couple of barges moored up. Just a few hundred yards from the last tunnel we come to another one. This is the Barnton Tunnel, and here I'm following a lane that runs up directly as a continuation of the towpath. We come to the top of the lane and there's a road running across from right to left, but there's a track directly opposite which we'll take. And I notice here in the field just to the left is one of these round ventilation shafts for the tunnel that's running beneath us. I'm a few hundred yards further on now, and I notice again across the left here you can see another of the ventilation shaft for the tunnel that's running underneath there. And there's the other end of the tunnel. That was very straightforward, up and back down again. No danger of going astray there. Almost 13 miles and we've come to the world famous Anderton boat lift. This takes a section of the canal. You can see the boat entering a section now. It'll now be sealed off, and that section will then be lowered down to the river a considerable way below. It saves having a whole staircase of locks, therefore takes up a lot less space. As one goes down, another one comes up, so it's counterbalanced. We're not going to spend any time at the Anderton boat lift today. It is worth seeing, but today feels a bit like a tourist trap. A lot of people paying money to see it, and I think we'll press on along the canal and just enjoy the quiet and solitude further along. Just pan along towards the direction that we're going to be walking, and now we're really circuiting or circumnavigating Northwich. We've gone a few yards now past the Anderton boat lift and all the cars and the tourists, and it's become very beautiful, very pretty, lovely gardens coming down to the water's edge, and the barge is moored up. Still a bit touristy, but nicely done. A little further along and we've come to the Anderton Marina. Very nice setting. Less than a mile from the Anderton boat lift, and the crowds have gone and the path is all my own now, nobody else around. They've just bunched around that particular attraction. It's great to be in the quiet and peace again. We are 15.5 miles from our start in Runcorn, and this is a junction with a road at Marston. Well, I think I'm going to call that a halt today. We'll resume the walk from this spot on another day, and I'm going to walk into Northwich now and find the train to take me back home. It's been a great walk, I've enjoyed it immensely. A couple of little frustrating places we went through, but otherwise it's been peace and quiet all the way. And very much a canal I'd recommend for walking. Trent and Mersey, and we started off on the Bridgewater for the first 5 miles. So that's 15.5 miles done, and we'll resume this walk another day. This is Marston. Till the next time.